gets here. All right, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Diana, we'll go ahead and get started quickly. Just go ahead and call roll for me, please.
Sure. Representative Berger?
Here.
Representative Nemec? Here. Representative Obermuller?
Excused.
Representative O'Hearn?
Here.
Representative Pendergraft?
Here.
Representative Smith?
Here.
Representative Stivar?
Present.
Representative Wiley?
Here.
Chairman Brown?
Here. All right, committee, before we hop right into the bill, I just want to remind anybody and everybody, and there's Representative Obermuller, you can count him here. Interim topics are due on the 1st, no later than the 1st. I know I've had a couple of conversations with a few of you. Just make sure that you get those in. If there's anybody out in the audience that is interested in interim topics, please make sure you submit those to somebody on the committee that can carry those forward and speak to those when we have our joint meeting with the Senate side. So with that, since this next bill is mine, Mr. Vice Chairman, I'll let you take over.
If I can get my mic on. Okay, thank you. House Bill 86, Vehicle Lien Amendments, sponsored by Representative Brown. Chairman Brown, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Appreciate it. Committee, you guys are mean-looking crowd. We need to get you guys smiling. There we go. We
Everybody
got some
smile for
smiles. We
Chairman
got some
Brown.
smiles. There we go. Yeah. All right. I bring to you guys today House Bill 86. And, I've had a couple of people already ask me, what in the world are you doing? Like, what is this bill? It's a pretty simple bill, really. What we have in Title 31, we actually have abandoned vehicle liens, abandoned vehicle statutes, right? And so if there's an abandoned vehicle that's out there, it gets picked up and towed and it goes to a tow yard, they have to do a lien search on that vehicle to find out if there's a lien out there. And then they contact that lien holder and say, hey, we've got a vehicle that was abandoned, it's sitting in our lot. You guys got a couple of bucks and some due fees here, come pick it up. Problem is with the towing process, it's not quite the same, right? So in Title 29, what we have here, and this is what, I'm going to make this very brief, and I'm going to let the actual people who work together during the interim on this bill come speak on this bill. But basically what you're doing is you're just mirroring basically the same language with towed vehicles. And so what this boils down to is tow company tows a vehicle, brings that vehicle into the tow lot, and has that vehicle in there for more than 5 days. They need to do a lien search with the department. Once that lien search is done, then they have to notify the lien holder. And that's just in an effort. What we've had is a couple of credit unions across the state, who I'm guessing you guys probably had a few contacts within your own community. These credit unions have had anywhere from a couple $100 worth of lien fees sitting on their vehicles to over $25,000 in one case, where it was worth more than the vehicle was sitting there. And they were just never notified, right? So these credit unions, these are institutions in our communities that drive the services and drive financial impacts. And the only way for them to keep their rates low and stuff like that is when they don't get hit with these gigantic fees the way they do. This bill was brought to me a couple months ago. And the Credit Union Association came to me and said, hey, look, we're interested. I said, okay, do we have an agreement with the towing group? And they said, yep, we've already worked all this out. They came to me with a solution, right? And that's what I look for when I carry a piece of legislation for somebody, is to make sure that there's not going to be any red herrings that come out on this. So you'll hear from both sides today, I believe, or hopefully. I can tell you, I do know that you'll hear from at least Shane and Bobby, and they will discuss what this means to them and their credit unions. But with that, Mr. Vice Chairman, that's the bill in a nutshell. I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions for Chairman Brown? Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, my biggest concern on all this is, where does the responsibility of the owner come into play? And so I feel like we're just passing the buck from the owner of the vehicle that had their vehicle towed. And then I don't know if it's a collision, where does the insurance company come into play? Does insurance company speak with the banking? Because the insurance company would have a idea of who the lien holder would be without going through the governmental process. I've done this numerous times through my work, and it's a pain and a long, drawn-out process. And so I just don't want more undue burden on local businesses, you know. My county, for instance, there's one tow company in the entire county, and our sheriff's department is very short-staffed, and so there may not be more than 2 deputies on duty at any given time to come do the VIN inspection to send off the title search. So I'm just trying to go through all those little details.
Chairman Brown, sounds
Vice-
like we might have somebody that's can make this bill a whole lot better.
Mr. Vice Chairman, Representative Smith, I will let Shane and Bobby speak to that in a little bit more detail, but what I will tell you, you're not creating any more undue burden, right? What you're doing is you actually have a situation where both communities, we'll call the bank and the towing company, have come together as the 2 associations and said, hey, look, yeah, we do recognize there's probably a problem and we should probably work to make sure that this is fixed in statute. We see this in Title 31. We recognize that Title 31 is proper. We should probably just have something along the same lines here in Title 29, right? So you are, and I think you asked a question during introduction as well about the cost and what that cost would, who would be paying for that cost. Typically speaking, that's going to be a cost that's associated with the tow company, and then they're just going to pass that cost on to the credit union, you know, $15 lien fee search, whatever that case may be. To your direct question about where does the owner come in? Well, technically the owner is the credit union. They own the lien, right? They own that vehicle. The person who has abandoned the vehicle or lost the vehicle in a crash or whatever the case may be, maybe they're sitting in a hospital. Maybe they're in a coma. Maybe we have no idea what happened to them. Maybe it was a hit and run. Who knows, right? The lien holder is actually the owner of that vehicle. And so therefore, I think it's more pertinent to focus on who actually owns the vehicle as well as the towing company and making sure that they have a working relationship. And that's exactly what this bill does, is ensures that we have a working relationship laid out in statute, and there's nobody throwing up lines saying, well, I can do whatever I want. I can charge $25,000. That's not fair practice, and I don't think anybody here nor behind me is going to sit there and agree to that either. So this just levels the playing field and makes sure that we get all the work done correctly and efficiently.
We're good? Okay. Representative Wiley.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize if I missed it, but can you tell us when these statutes were last updated? Seems like this is just kind of moving into the 21st century kind of deal.
You know, Mr. Vice Chairman, Representative Wiley, I don't know. I'd have to open up the Green Book. I have Folio here and it doesn't tell me when everything was updated, but I'd have to go look in the Green Book to give you that information.
Thank you. Follow up? Thank you, Chairman Brown. And if we can have Shane, and you know all these people, come on down. Does someone have a Green Book on them?
We've got them over here.
Okay.
We're just, yeah, because this.
Hold 1 second.
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring Whiteout up.
Taylor, you want to come up with Whiteout also? Oh. Yes, okay. Need to hear from our state reps first, or state departments. Go ahead.
Hello, Mr. Chairman. Debbie Lopez with the Wyoming Department of Transportation. We don't have any issues with the bill. It just is mirroring the statute in 3113-104, the timelines for us. Stand for
questions?
questions.
For Whiteout? Okay, thank you. Go ahead and introduce yourselves, please, for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bobby Frank, representing Wyoming's 21 credit unions.
Shane Schultz, also on behalf of the credit unions.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We appreciate the committee's consideration of this bill. As previously mentioned, we're really trying to mirror generally the language that is already in Title 31 that pertains to vehicles abandoned either on public or private ground. I will tell you that we landed on a 5 days from tow after consulting with the Wyoming Towing and Recovery Association. And Mr. Rose is here, so he can speak to that. We initially were going to propose that there be an immediate request for the title search, just like it is in Title 31. However, based on his feedback, we realized the tow companies usually give time for insurance to respond. And so that is how we landed on the 5 days from the day of tow. We did consult with YDOT on the timing of the title search and that process. And really, to address your question, Representative Smith, what we're doing is moving up what would already occur in a title search and just make sure that it occurs in a timely fashion. Currently, under Title 29, the lien statute, the language on when a notification to the lien holder occurs doesn't actually occur until they're getting to the lien sale process. And that language says 30 days from when the bill is due, which is fairly open-ended and not clear. So part of the challenge that we've run into is we've had credit unions noticed anywhere from not at all, meaning they retained a recovery service at quite an expense to locate the vehicles, or they've been notified 71, 78, over 100, and in one case over a year after the vehicle was towed. So they've incurred tow storage fees from a few thousand to in excess of $25,000. We want to make sure the tow yards get compensated for their services and for their storage in a timely fashion. We want to recover the vehicles. I will tell you that absolutely this language is different because it is when the owner is known. The examples that our credit unions have run into is there could have been a DUI. And the owner is not reaching out to their local financing institution to let them know where the vehicle is. There's a number of different examples of why that occurs. Allowing that time frame allows that response to happen so that we're not talking about every single vehicle they tow. We're talking about those that remain on the lot after that 5-day period. And then to address, Mr. Chairman, to address Representative Smith, your question on the fee, I consulted with YDOT, and there is the $15 fee to request the title search from the tow company to YDOT. The tow bills that we have received copies of, redacted of course, have also included administrative fees ranging from $25 to $150. I cannot tell you definitively that includes the $15, but frankly, it's being included, is my guess, in that admin fee, so our credit unions are paying that cost as well. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll refer to Shane if he has anything further to add.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I wanted to add in the case of the question brought by Representative Smith, the VIN search that will be done is on behalf of the tow yard contacting YDOT. It's not the sheriff coming out to do the VIN search. They will submit the VIN and send it to YDOT, is our understanding.
Mr. Chairman, on our VIN search app, we do request the customer get a VIN inspection so that we know that the VIN is correct.
Okay, so there may be some discussion with the local sheriff, it sounds like, and so in some cases, I think we might have that, but again, we're also in the discussion of only those that we don't know what in the world's going on with. They've sat on the tow lot for 5 days, and they've been a little bit of an issue here, so. Any further questions for the credit unions? Yes, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We kind of talked outside. How does it work when there's a sheriff or that vehicle is under investigation and there's a search, or not a search warrant, but it can't be disposed of, it has to be maintained for search and as evidence? I bet that's a towing yard question.
So if that's, since that's a towing yard question, we might wait up on that one and bring Mr. Rose up when he's ready. So is there any further questions for credit unions themselves or for YDOT? Yes, Representative Smith, please.
Okay, I have a couple. Sorry.
Please, go ahead.
Okay. With YDOT, Mr. Chairman, my first question for YDOT would be, do you have plans for like an online portal so that way it would expedite the process of things in the mail? Because I know when I send in title searches, it's usually almost about a 10 to 12 day return between me getting it in the mail, you guys receiving it, opening the mail, doing the search, getting it back.
Ms. Smith, or Lopez, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Smith, currently our system is from the 80s, and so no, we do not have a way to do it. In addition, we don't have lien information in the state system, it's only in the county system. So we are hopeful in the next few years, we will get a new system that has lien information and more online. I do not know what that's really gonna look like, but we're hopeful.
And those things cost money too, so,
Mr. Chairman, could I
Yes, Ms.
respond to that as well?
yes.
Representative Smith, I know this is premature, but we are going to submit a request to this committee to consider as an interim topic, moving the state to an electronic titling platform. And frankly, that would address exactly that and expedite the ability to move forward and locate vehicles much quicker.
Go ahead, you've got the floor. I'll let
Okay,
you-
follow up.
Yep.
Would it be possible for YDOT to establish an email address that they would be able to say title search at ydot.gov or something like that? And then the towing companies could email it off and put a check in the mail. When you receive the check, you say, hey, this goes with this search, and then, or would that, I see your cringe, that looks like a lot of work, but I'm just thinking, or if you could even respond to the customer. I'm just trying to eliminate, just expediting the process a little bit.
Ms. Lopez?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Smith, we get about 120 of these every week. And we have 4 people that work on it part-time. So, and they take about 30 minutes for each one. So it's hard to keep, I mean, if we took the time to log them all in the beginning when we first got them, it would just take even more time.
60 hours a week is a full-time employee, just for everybody's consideration there, and we've got 4 doing it part-time, so sounds about right, yeah. Go ahead, Representative Smith.
And then for the banking, do you guys try to mitigate your losses by sending these fees onto collections for your customer that leased or had the vehicle loaned through you guys?
Bobby, please.
Mr. Chairman, we have had some credit unions indicate if they end up in a position of refinancing that vehicle, they will potentially roll those fees into that. But there's also the risk that it's just a loss. And when it's a loss, then that affects all the members of that credit union because they're member-owned co-ops. I hope that answers your question.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Shane?
and Mr. Representative Smith, I think just to add on to that, many of the credit unions, when they do locate the vehicle, obviously try and go recover it right away and put it on their own lot. So obviously, they're busy trying to find their collateral that's out there. And so they quit incurring fees at tow lots, obviously put them on their lot. So it's simply, that process of trying to recover what they have as collateral, just to kind of help maybe tie that up in a bow for your question.
All right, thank you guys very much. Mr. Rose, we'll bring you on up. Thank you for being here, appreciate you. And I'll just say again, my sincere thanks to both parties working so diligently on working a compromise out on this. That's one of the things that I really appreciate. So, Mr. Rose, thank you very much. And if you will, just introduce yourself for the record, and
Sure.
the floor is yours.
Dave Rose, I'm with the Wyoming Towing and Recovery Professionals, and also a towing owner here in Cheyenne with Big Al's Towing. So I did speak with, Mr. Chairman, I did speak with Bobby Franks probably September-ish, and we had a couple of conversations. As far as the position of the towing industry, and I feel like I'm speaking for everybody, we don't want these cars. I mean, we just want paid for our services, and we'd like to get them out of there as soon as possible. There was a revamp of not only lien laws, but abandoned vehicle statutes. It's been 4 or 5 years ago, which I was part of an interim committee on that. And I thought that we had a pretty good idea. That's where this timeline came in statute 3113-101. And so it kind of spells out, once we determine that these vehicles are abandoned, first of all, anything that we tow that's not involved with law enforcement, we have to notify the sheriff's department within 30 minutes upon completion of the tow. And then with the make, model, VIN, plate number, whatever information that we have in case somebody calls and says, hey, my car's missing. So that covers all private property tows. That was a big problem back then. We have to request a title search on a form prescribed by the department within 3 business days after towing the vehicle. This is if we haven't heard from anybody. And like we've mentioned earlier, sometimes it takes a little while for insurance companies to come and say, hey, what's going on with this car? We're going to send somebody over. And that might take 2 or 3 days also, depending on the insurance company, and they use a lot of third-party adjusters. So, like YDOT brought up, the time for turnaround on this has been, I think it was 2015, we had a committee meeting up in Riverton, and they brought that up also, that it's hard to turn these things around because of the computer system and lack of staff. And at that time, the YDOT was trying to get a new computer system, and because of funding, the legislature voted that down. As far as I know, you guys are still using the same stuff. And back then, that's almost 10 years ago, they said the thing was gonna crash. So now we're loading it more with title searches and whatever else. It's probably something, I hope that they're gonna look at it soon. Our neighboring state to the south, I've also got another company in that state that we can do a title search online, and it takes a couple minutes. It's not a big deal. And then the national search takes maybe a day, maybe 2 days. And that way we could turn this thing around a lot quicker. This statute 31 with the abandoned vehicles, we reworked this so that we could get notification out to people just as soon as possible. I think that's very workable. The proposed statute that they're talking about in Title 29, it's actually a longer process than what we have for the abandoned vehicles. The problem, and I explained this to Ms. Franks, we don't know when this vehicle is gonna be deemed, nothing's happening with it. When are we gonna start this process? And like, the representative said earlier, if these vehicles are on a hold, a police hold for an investigation, I personally would go ahead and, I think we could just go ahead and do a title search to let everybody know that we've got the vehicle and we're planning on doing something with it. That's the way the neighboring state to the south does. You have to notify in order to continue on with your storage. I understand the problem with the credit unions getting charged, for whatever. Ultimately, it becomes the customers, the loan maker, the vehicle owner's responsibility for both the towing company and the credit union. When they have these people sign up, they're accepting responsibility for it, for anything that happens to it. And we don't know by looking at the car that this thing's got a loan on it, or they're behind on the loan, or, life happens, there's substance abuse or family problems or, health problems to where they can't come get the vehicle. So we just don't know. As far as the towing association and the towing community, we, once again, don't want these cars. We just want to get paid for our services and move on. We'd be glad to tow them wherever you want. There are times when stuff like that slips through the cracks. Maybe a smaller county where they don't have guys to do the title searches. We run into that quite often here. For a while, they were only doing title searches or VIN inspections, on Wednesdays. That was it. So every Wednesday. Well, that would take us beyond the 5 days after the 5 days. But we recognize that this is a problem. It's an ongoing problem. We would like to help alleviate this. I believe that most of the towers in Wyoming are on board with this, and we'd like to get them off of our lots and move on to the next one. So if you've got any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rose. All right, Representative Smith.
Okay, thank you. What percentage of vehicles do you think actually have a lien on it versus the vehicles owned outright by a customer, and the title search wouldn't help you out other than the customer you're already dealing with?
Mr. Chairman.
Please.
Or Representative Smith. Going off of what I'm seeing on the title searches, I would say probably 10% of them have a lien on them where we're having to send out a letter to the owner and a letter to the lien holder.
Okay, follow up?
Follow up, thank you. And then how would the towing association feel about a cap on the collections? Like, if you knew there was a deadline that you would stop being able to collect, I think the statute's $20 a day that they're allowed to collect, say 1 month or 2 months or something like that, and it maxes out. So then the towing companies have a little bit more wiggle room, like the situation where smaller counties, we only do VIN inspections on 1 day a week. In my situation for where I work, you're dealing with a customer and it's, hey, I'll be there. Most of the time ours is a blown engine and it's not worth repairing. And so then it sits, we'll tow it away in a week and we'll come and get it. And so you're just taking people at their word, not realizing whether there is a lien or no lien, and you're just trying to work with the customer. And then a month goes by and you're like, well, now it's time to start the process. So I mean, there's a whole lot of different dynamics in all of this.
I will say, and I'll let you answer this, that was certainly discussed during our abandoned vehicle process for
sir.
the course of almost 2 years that this committee worked on that. So I'll let you go ahead and insert your input there.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Smith. So the limit on storage that you're speaking of is mechanics liens, and these are totally different deal. And we've discussed this the last time that we brought this up. Storage fees are, you know, they vary anywhere, maybe $40 a day on up. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at a bunch of storage fees. We are limited by state statute to 180 days after we start our lien sale process. Mechanics liens, yes, they are, they have recently, I think the last time we did a study on this, they brought those up to $20 a day, and I'm not sure what the maximum is on that. It used to be $10 a day with a maximum of 30 days or something like that. It was pretty ridiculous. But as far as towing, we're limited on our space. A lot of tow companies are limited on their space, and we have the fees set a little bit higher because, you know, it gives the incentive to the insurance companies to come on out and take care of this thing and get it out of here. And I don't think there's a tow company in the state that hasn't negotiated their fees down to some, you know, more reasonable. And I know several of them, if it's a person that's not able to pay, I'd rather get the thing off my lot than have to run through the process of a lien sale and notification and stuff. I've towed the things just back to their house and let them have them, because it's a lot cheaper to do that.
And it looks like maximum fee, I just did a quick search here. It looks like it's 2,000, so. I think I'm in it right.
For mechanics,
Yeah,
yeah.
yep, so. Anything further? Okay, any more questions for Mr. Rose? Dave, thank you so much for being here. Do
bet.
appreciate your work with us and your work with credit unions as well.
Yeah, one other thing, I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to do something with this, but it may be something that you wanna look at the interim. Like I said, it's been like 4 or 5 years ago, we went through all of this. And as a towing community, we're very interested in getting these cars off of our lot and moving on to the next one.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Any further public testimony? Mr. Meyer? Catherine, are you interested as well? If you are, come on up and just join up so we can just roll right through you guys. And I'll also just put a shameless plug in here for poor YDOT, who has been asking for updates to their computer systems for going on 15 years now. And I appreciate the shameless plug from the towing company to let us know that we have failed to do that, so. Mr. Meyer, please introduce yourself for the record.
Thank you. Chairman Brown, members of the committee, my name is Scott Meyer, and I'm on behalf of the Wyoming Bankers Association. And just a friendly admonishment to my good friend Chairman Brown, this is not a credit union issue. This is a lender's issue. So it applies to all lenders, and it is a problem out there. And not to embarrass Mr. Rhodes, but he and I did work on this 11 years ago, and we have a bill that we finally did in 10 years ago. So it's been a while, but it is in fact the same issue. That the abandoned vehicles, instead of waiting so long before you give notice, now they have to give notice and we can get this thing taken care of. The Wyoming Bankers Association does stand in support of this bill. It would help all lenders that are they're dealing with this issue. I will address, I guess, maybe a couple of questions I know that came from Representative Smith that, yeah, there's people out there that don't want to tell their lenders, they don't want to tell their insurance companies, they want to keep it quiet for a whole lot of reasons, and yet they'll sit there. And so this is very much important, and it is not necessarily something that the lenders would actually know something about until they receive notice. With that, I would certainly stand for any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Well, first of all, you're out of line, sir. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Scott. Ms. Wilkinson, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Catherine Wilkinson here today on behalf of American Property Casualty Insurance Association. Also standing in support of the bill, we do think it's important to have that timeline in place and thank the committee for your work. I'd stand for any questions.
Any questions for insurance? Okay, thank you so much. Thank you both. Any further public testimony? Do we have anybody online? I didn't think so. Seeing nobody else, we'll close public testimony and bring the bill back to the dais. Committee, what's your pleasure?
Move the bill.
All right, Pendergraph moved and Stivar second. All right, committee, there's not a real whole bunch here to do. Is there any amendments to be made? Yes, Representative Smith.
On page 2, where it says within 5 business days, I'd like to amend that to 7 business days.
On line
Just,
5 or 10?
well, 11 and 16. Primarily just to give a week for like those VIN inspections where the small communities, the sheriff may not, they have a particular day that they may do it.
Okay, I'll wait. Is there a second?
Yeah, second.
Okay, so second for discussion. Okay, so I just want to make sure that we get this done correctly. So you're on lines 10 and 11, is that right? And 16?
Yeah.
So shall request a title report on the form prescribed by the department within 7 business days after a towed vehicle has remained on a covered lot for more than 7 days. So you're changing all of those. Are you just trying to get to the intent of it sitting on the lot for more than 7 days? Or once it's hit 5 days, then they have 7 days to do their process?
So the intent would be 7 days to do the process.
Okay, so we don't want to do it on all of those then. I think the correct way to handle that amendment would be to the Department of Transportation shall forward the information obtained to the towing recovery service within 5 business days of receipt. So that one we're not trying to change. I am thinking it looks like it would be on line 10 would be the first one. It shall request a title search within 5 business days after a towed vehicle has remained on the lot for more than 5 days. So once it's hit 5 days, then they have 7 days beyond that. So committee, is that what your motion is?
That's the intent, yes.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
So committee, any discussion on that? Seeing none, I will put the recommendation, I'm going to vote no, and the reason being is this was hammered out, right? And so I totally respect where you're coming from, but this was a good compromise, which does not happen very often in this building, especially lately. A good compromise has been struck, and so I'm going to vote no. This is what was brought to me as the compromise. Other than that, Representative Berger, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I guess, Mr. Chairman, thank you. And I guess if we decided in the interim and talked about a new title searching system, it would even be quicker, so we could amend it down. We might as well just keep it there to hopefully incentivize us to really hash that new system out and help with that. I don't know, something to think about.
Don't disagree with you. Just find that pot of gold underneath the rainbow and hand it over to YDOT, and they would love that. Okay, committee, any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of changing from 5 business days to 7 business days, please raise your hand for me. Got 1, 2. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That amendment fails. Any further amendments? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. Diana, can you please call roll on House Bill 86?
Representative Berger,
Aye.
Representative Nemec, Representative Obermueller, Representative O'Hearn,
Aye.
Representative Pendergraph,
Aye.
Representative Smith,
Aye.
Representative Stivar,
Aye.
Representative Wiley,
Aye.
Chairman Brown.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes, do pass.
Thank you so much. With that, committee, we are adjourned. I'm going to guess that we will probably have a meeting on Thursday. We don't have any bills in the hopper right now, but By tomorrow, we should be getting some Senate files over, so plan on being here for Thursday. With that, we're adjourned.